nailing in shingles, 9 p.m. at night. Neighbors are coming outside, they're cussing us out. You know, trying to get 10 pounds of sugar in a 5-pound sack has pretty much been my career in roofing. Doing too much all the time and sometimes getting frustrated along the way. And I have to say, there was a little while where when the company I was with, we were all just kind of getting started, and I was trying to get too many jobs done during the week. I was trying to get like 9, 10 jobs done during the week. And the problem with that is your guys that are actually doing the install, they get pretty tired. And so we were driving I would work them like 3 hours south of Atlanta, and then they'd work 12 hours. And then we go right back to another job in the middle of Atlanta the next day, and they were running on like a few hours of sleep, and it was too much. It was just too much for everybody. But one time I remember in particular that I had the ultimate wake-up call, that I realized that I needed to change something as it pertained to scheduling my personal projects. Was we had been doing a job, guys hadn't slept much, we were going in to do the next job, we were in downtown Atlanta, and we get started on this project. And this customer was already kind of high maintenance, high needs. He told me that apparently he didn't trust the Google reviews that we had because Google reviews could be faked. And I told him, I said, you can't really fake Google reviews because Google has a way where they're able to see if a Google account is actually active or not. I said it's a lot, and he didn't believe any of that. So he was just kind of a skeptical guy. And he was one of those guys where I don't think he was rich, but he lived a rich lifestyle. So like money was always a little bit tight in some ways. But he had a nice car, a nice house. But anyway, neither here nor there. We're out there, we're doing the job. He's happy with everything. Also, the guy's totally bipolar as well. So that kind of makes for a dicey exchange. And so we're doing the roof, and then the guys are just not making good time. I mean, we're looking at the clock here, and it's like, man, it's almost like 7 p.m. and half this roof still needs to get done. And we've got 4 days of torrential downpour coming this week, like starting the next day. And so I called the crew leader and I said, hey man, you need to get some more guys out here. And he's like, oh, I can't do that. And I said, no, I'm not asking. I was like, we have got to get more people out here on this project immediately. We've got to finish the job. And he's like, well, it's going to be dark. We're not going to be able to finish it. The customer's now coming out. He's losing his mind, saying, y'all never should have started this job. It's going to rain. You're going to be responsible for any of the damages that happened to the house. I mean, he's like, I want a copy of your general liability insurance. I need to go ahead and get ready to open up a claim against your, things were running off the rails. Crew leader gets some guys out there. I wind up running to the Home Depot and buy a few $100s worth of stage lights, like construction stage lights. So we're up here in downtown Atlanta, nailing in shingles, 9 p.m. at night. Neighbors are coming outside. They're cussing us out, threatening to call the cops. It was an absolute shit show. We wound up getting the job done. And I told the customer, I said, look, we've got everything done. We're dried in. You're not going to have any issues. It's not going to leak. Once this rain passes, we'll come back and we'll just kind of do the final cleanup and touch up and stuff like that. And he said, yeah, that'll be fine. Well, you got to keep in mind, things hadn't really gotten bad yet in the story. I thought, oh, that was crazy. We got it fixed. I'm off on other jobs. So there was a subcontractor that make a really long, that would be too long of a story if I got into this story with this subcontractor. He's a one-of-a-kind guy. I have very much of a love-hate relationship with this guy. And he was working with me a lot. And so I told him, I said, hey, when you get a chance, would you go by my job, line something up with the homeowner, do the punch-out list. There's some drip edge that needs to be tightened up. There was a shingle that had a little bit of marring he wanted replaced and, stuff like that. I said, now, also, there is some trash that needs to be cleaned up. Obviously, it's too expensive to pay you by the hour to pick up trash. I'll send somebody back out later on to get that cleaned up. You just go fix these punch-out items that require like finesse and expertise. And he said, that's no problem. He goes out there. Well, then my homeowner comes out. My homeowner comes out and says, hey, yeah, this looks good, whatever. And he's kind of being picky, and the homeowner's kind of just like flexing his control over the situation a little bit. Like he's kind of like just kind of being rude to the sub, you know? And this sub is he's a really sweet guy. He'll do anything for anybody, but you don't want to be rude to him. And so, you know, the sub's like, look, go back inside. I'm doing my job. I'll call you when I'm done. It's going to look good. He said, that's no problem. So the guy, and the guy comes right back out and says, hey, oh, by the way, don't forget to clean up the trash. And the guy said, listen, Mr. Customer, I'm not here to pick up trash. I'm here to do the punch out list, and then someone else is coming to do the trash. But that's not my job. I'm here to do this. And he said, oh, that's fine. A couple hours go by, and again, I don't know if my homeowner was on medication or he was legit bipolar, or I don't know, but he was just a weird guy. And so he comes back outside, says, hey, everything looks good. But he says, hey, you didn't pick that trash up. I told you need to pick that trash up, or I'm not going to get you guys paid. You need to do what the customer's asking. At that point in time, my sub had enough. So my sub jumps down off the ladder, gets in the customer's face. Basically, they're dang near coming to blows. And again, I'm not there. I'm somewhere on the other side of the state working on another project. I get a call from the customer. It was right around Christmas time. Customer calls, leaves me a message, cussing me out, says, your guy got in my face. I'm not happy with any of this. It's terrible customer service. I'm going to leave you guys terrible reviews online. And you can just sue me for the money that you owe me. Keep in mind, at the time, he owed us about 20-something thousand, which this was like in, 2018, 2019. That was a lot of money back then, right? Like it was $20,000. And so he was like, look, just sue me for the money. Next person I have a voicemail from is that subcontractor. He says, look, keep the money that you owe me for this job. Don't ever call me again. I don't ever want to work on one of your jobs again. This customer, blah, 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 blah. So I call the customer back. I'm saying, profusely apologizing, saying, I'm sorry. I didn't realize things were going to get so, aggressive. What happened? I'm letting him vent it out and talk it out. He gets so mad. He says, hey, I can't talk to you anymore. I'm getting too frustrated. Hangs up the phone. A couple days go by. Again, I'm losing my mind trying to figure out how I'm going to get this 20 grand from this customer. Called him back, didn't answer the phone. Called him back, didn't answer the phone. So I just showed up at his house. Knocked on the door. He came to the door. I said, look, I just want to come and apologize. What can we do? What can I do? And so we go out, and this guy, I basically become this guy's bitch. Like, I'm out there on my hands and knees, digging through pine straw, picking up pieces of roofing felt that are like a fraction of the size of my fingernail. Get everything cleaned up. And what I realized looking back is the whole thing really was just a power struggle. Like, this guy, for whatever reason, needed to feel like he was in control. This customer wanted to feel like he was in control. And the way he did that was just flexing the fact that, well, I've got the check, you need the check, so I'm going to run you through the ringer to get paid. So I did all of that. I was like, look, man, I really need the money. It's Christmas time. I played on his emotions, and he wound up paying us. And what's crazy is I did such a good job selling him on the fact that, like, I wanted to be friends with him so he would pay me, that he actually then believed that we were friends. So this guy would call me like years later on Christmas Day and be like, hey, Steve, man, I hope you're doing well. Haven't seen you in a while. You need to come by and we'll get a beer. And I'm thinking, dude, I would not spend 2 minutes with you if you had a big check for me again. I said, dude, I've had enough working with you. But then with my subcontractor, he and I, we kind of made up. I took him out to lunch, and I talked to him, and I said, look, man, these things happen. And, so we kind of made things up, and we paid him on that job. And at the end of the day, we got everything collected, got everything handled. But looking back on that, once I had finally gotten that job closed out, I realized that, like, I was just trying to do too much during the time that I had. We were trying to do too many jobs. We needed a better team to run the volume of jobs that we had instead of just everybody trying to do everything themselves. And so that led to some pretty big changes in the company later on. But yeah, don't overdo it. And if you got to be out there on your hands and knees picking up little pieces of felt to get paid, life of a roofer. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll catch you in the next one.